Hi, good morning everyone. It's again our Maritime English lesson for today. I'm again your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly. Welcome everyone for our week 79th, day 2. And before we begin our class, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to, of course, to our Gumyang Shipping Seafarers Union. And it is through their vision and their dedication to your professional growth that this maritime English lesson is possible today. Right? And then the union's continued support, no, in providing a valuable training opportunities that ensures that each of you remains safe, no, and confident and highly capable at sea. So, let us show our appreciation to our Gumyang Shipping Seafarers Union leadership for making your education a priority. No? And thank you, and let's make the most of this learning experience together. Alright, so welcome trainees to our week 79th, day 2. And again, our lesson for today is all about the different types of fire extinguishers, and just a review for our lesson for today. Since we are going to discuss about the fire extinguishers, let us just recall what is fire. Alright? Okay. Since fire is related to combustion, which is our scientific word for burning, it is a chemical reaction, by the way, combustion, no? Where a substance reacts quickly, right, with oxygen, no? And in the process, that gives off a lot of heat and light, right? And I'm sure you can still recall, to make combustion happen, we always have, or we always need 3 things, right? Or often what we call the fire triangle, right? And then, number 1 for that, what we need in order to create the fire is fuel. Right? So, fuel is something that, something to burn. Okay, like the wood, okay, the paper, or a gasoline, or a wax, or any plastic materials or other metals. Okay? And then we also need oxygen in order to create fire. Right? And oxygen, as we all know, the air that we inhale, that's usually coming from the air, right? So that is oxygen. And then we also have the third one, which is what we call the heat. Okay? Heat, like coming from the match, from our lighters of the cigarette, right? And coming from the spark of something from metal to metal. Okay? So, heat is an igniter, or is an ignition source to get fire started. So, whenever there is fuel, oxygen, and heat, there is what we call a chemical reaction to that. Okay? And that is the 4th thing we need, what we call the tetrahedron. Alright? So, in our everyday examples, a burning candle, like for example, no? The wax acts the fuel. Okay? And then, once reacted to oxygen in the air, it creates flame. Okay? So that is a one example for our day-to-day life. And another, a campfire. Yeah. Okay, we do campfire from time, for example, no? And then this wood, once this wood combines with the oxygen, it produces heat and light, right? So that's again another example for our everyday life. And the very common is the car engine. Of course, we do use cars every day in going to school, in going to our offices, okay, when we do campfire, when we do our weekend getaway, so we use car, right? So the car engine now, the gasoline of that combusts inside the engine, all right, to create the energy that moves the car, right? So that is already an example of a possible fire, no? It could create possible fire. So that is only our review all about the meaning of fire and how they react with each other, like the oxygen, the fuel, and the heat. Alright? Now, last week also, or last Monday, we discussed about the different types of fire and also the different classes of, the different types of fire extinguishers and the different classes of fire. Okay? So, last Monday we discussed about the black color of fire extinguisher, what we call it, the carbon dioxide, right? So the carbon dioxide, the black color fire extinguisher is used for class B. What are those? The flammable liquids like the paint, the petroleum, right? The gasoline, okay? And also, the carbon dioxide is also used for electrical equipments, okay? Like our computers, our laptops, our what we call this kitchen electric materials, like the equipment like microwaves, like our oven toasters, right? And then our heaters in the bathroom. So we will use a black color fire extinguishers, which is called the carbon dioxide. Okay, so we discussed that last week, and then we also discussed about the cream color fire extinguisher, which is called the cream foam. Okay, so this type of fire extinguisher is used in class A type of fire. So what is that? The paper, the wood, plastic materials, those are the combustible materials, easily burned materials. Okay? And this cream color foam fire extinguisher is also used for class B type of fire. Okay? Like the flammable liquids. Okay? The paint, the gasoline, and the petroleums. Okay? So, also, I discussed about the dry, which is the blue powder color. I'm sorry, the blue color fire extinguisher, which represents the dry powder. Okay, this is now used for class A, B, C, D, and E type of fire extinguishers. Okay, now here for today, we will discuss about the advanced fire extinguishers. Alright, so what are those? First is this one, the dry chemical powder extinguishers. That's what I mentioned earlier. This is the blue color powder fire extinguisher. So as mentioned, this one is used for class A, right? For class B, class C, D, and E. Okay? Now, okay. Dry chemical powder or the DCP is extinguished in a multi-purpose units, okay, which is designed as mentioned for A, B, C, D, and E class type of fire. Okay, now they now operate by coating the fuel with a fire retardant powder. Okay, separating the powder from the oxygen and interrupting the chemical chain reaction. So, we can extinguish basically the oxygen by using this dry chemical. Okay, always remember that. Okay, so as mentioned, the blue type, okay, the dry powder used for ABC type of fire, right? So, this one, this type ABC fire extinguisher, this is a multi-purpose, okay, or the multi-purpose tool that uses a monoammonium phosphate, okay, to extinguish, okay, the three common types of fires, right? The A, B, C. Okay? For A, the wood, paper, and cloth. For the B, the flammable liquids like the gasoline, the oil, and the grease materials. And for the C, is for the live electrical equipment and wirings. Okay? So, or the flammable gases also. Alright? So, next is what we call the BC extinguisher. Still, it's under the dry chemical powder. Okay? So, now this one, this dry chemical powder can put out the B, the flammable liquids, okay? And also the flammable gases. Okay? Now this one is filled with either a potassium or a sodium bicarbonate to extinguish, of course, the oxygen. Okay, so that's the BC extinguisher. Okay, now, how does it work? Okay, now, this fire extinguisher, okay, smothers the fire, or it chokes, or it suffocates, or it cuts off the fire or the air, okay, or what we call the oxygen, in order to put out the fire, right? So, this fire extinguisher covers the burning fuel and then blocking the oxygen in order to suppress immediately the flames. Okay? Now, these fire extinguishers also interrupts combustion or the burning. Okay? Now, the chemical components melt upon the contact for Class A fires, or the ones that reacts the flames to prevent the fire from sustaining or to keep going, no? The fire. So, that is how the fire extinguishers work. Okay? Alright, so fire extinguishers are used, of course, in the engine room and also in our fuel storage areas and in our electrical switchboards. So each of these have different types of fire extinguishers to use. Okay? Not all types of fire extinguishers are used here. Alright? So in every class of fire, there's a type of fire extinguishers used. Specific fire type there's a specific type of fire extinguisher used. Okay? Okay. So, there are advantages of a dry powder extinguisher, or what we call the dry chemical powder. First is, this is suitable for A, B, C, D. So, basically, there's a multi-purpose versatility for this. It can use in Class A type of fire, in B, in C, and D. So, mostly common or mostly used, okay, type of fire extinguisher. So, that is their advantage. Now, if there's an advantages, there's also a disadvantages. Okay. First is it leaves corrosive, or it leaves remnants. There is also abrasive residue that ruins the delicate electronics. And the inhalation risk is not good. And the visibility, once extinguished, is poor. You can hardly see each other. Okay? So, those are the disadvantages. Okay. Now, this is the safety scenario. Of course, you will wear the PPEs. Okay, everything. In this image, the only thing that is not used is the mask. All right, so don't follow this one. All right. So, anyways, you wear your safety protective gears. Now, let's go to the wet chemical. Okay. The wet chemical, or the yellow in color. Okay. Basically, this one is used for Class A combustible materials, like the paper, right? The wood, the clothing, okay? You can use wet chemical type of fire extinguisher. And also, in the kitchen, the class F type of fire or class F, okay? For the cooking oil, the fats, no? In the fryers. So you can use wet chemical here, but you have to also use a fire blanket first. And then you extinguish wet chemical to cool down. Okay? To cool down the soapy blanket, what we call saponification. Okay? So that's the purpose of wet chemical type of fire extinguisher. You use first a fire blanket for the class F type of fire in order to cool down. And then spray. That's the purpose of wet chemical. Now, once that cooling down process, it's called saponification. Okay. Yes, it's common in the galley fires. Okay. The primary cause for this is basically, since we are in the galley, the grease and the cooking oils for class K or F. Okay? And sometimes our exhaust ducts and the hoods are not clean. Okay? The electrical wires for this, if you're using an electrical oven, and it's basically human error, the unattended equipment, which is the basic cause for galley fires. Alright? So that is the primary cause. Okay. As I said, cooking oil hazards. No? The unclean ducts or the hood. Okay? So, unlike flammable liquids with low flash points, cooking oils ignite when it builds up, no? Without a what do you call this? If you were able to what do you call this? The unattended, no? The unattended procedure. So while cooking, you were able to forget something that you are cooking. So this oil, of course, causes or ignites with the fuel. So basically, if there is oxygen, there is a fuel, okay, and there's heat, fire sits in. Okay? So, this is hazardous if unattended. Alright. So, next. We have our safety and preventive measures. Okay? Like in our duct work, hygiene, you always have to clean your duct, your grease, this one, trap. Okay? The hoods, the range hoods, you always have to clean that. Okay? And then, the automated wet chemical suppression nozzles should be positioned directly over deep fryers in your griddles and in your duct intakes, like this. This one. Okay, you have to position that this way. This is your duct nozzle. Alright? And then, the last preventive measures is you have to fix the ANSEL systems. The quick access power trip switches. And then the fuel shut off the valves located outside the galley entrance doors. You have to what you call this, turn off the switches right away, to shut off all the valves right away. So that is our preventive and safety measures. Of course, in the galley fires. And also for our deep fryer, no? This one, of course, if there's overheating of this, it will create, there's a big possibility that it will create fire. Okay? Here. Once combined with, of course, combustible liquid, no? And then the temperature of this is too high. Okay? So, this one could easily cause fire. Okay. Now, another. Okay, yes, the ignition and the mismanaged initial response. You were not able to use the proper type of fire extinguishers here. There's a mismanage. Your initial response to this is, of course, what? To use a fire blanket, right? To cool down. And then you use the wet chemical type of fire extinguisher. Okay? You use first a fire blanket and then extinguish a wet chemical to cool down. And then the process is called saponification, right? This one is what I mentioned earlier. You have to clean this always. Okay? Because this one accumulates oil and grease. And once this one is ignited, there is a big possibility that it will create fire. Okay? Because basically there is already oxygen present here. Right? And then there is fuel already. And then there is heat already. Okay? So there's a big chance to create fire. Okay? Next. Okay. So these words are the essential, okay, maritime vocabulary words. You mentioned the galley, you heard about the class F or the class K fire, okay, the quick closing valve, and the fire damper. So, excuse me, these are common, okay? And then, these are the different scenarios. Yes, this is how you're going to use the nozzle. Right? Okay. And then, the third type, or what we call the clean agent extinguishers. Okay, this is actually the sixth. Okay, because we have the red color type of fire extinguisher, which is the water. We have the cream, which is the foam type. The blue, we have the dry powder. And then we have the black, which is the carbon dioxide. And then the yellow, which is the wet chemical. And we have what we call the clean agent extinguishers. Okay, so let's talk about the clean agent extinguishers. Okay, this is an example of a fire extinguishers, the industrial type. Okay, the first one is the FM200 system, or what they call the fast acting fire protection. Now this FM200 system is also commonly known as the HFC-227EA. Now this is a clean agent used in fire suppression system. Okay? Now, next to that is the Novec 1230. Okay. Now, it says here that it works by using a fluoroketone agent to instantly cool and smother the fire. Okay? And it provides a quick and efficient suppression. Okay? And this agent is stored as a liquid, and it is discharged as a gas. Okay? Which is why Novec 1230 is often referred to as a clean agent. So, basically, this one is stored as a liquid. Okay? But, once it is discharged, it is as a gas. Okay? That's why it's called a clean agent, the Novec 1230. Alright? Now, we have the third kind of clean fire extinguisher, the halotron fire extinguisher. Okay? Since it is considered as a clean agent, okay, that discharges a rapidly evaporating liquid to fight class A, B, and C. Okay? Now, since it doesn't leave a corrosive residue, this one is ideal for protecting a sensitive electronics like our computers and of course other valuable assets in environments like our data centers, like the aircraft, and other laboratories. So this one is the third type of a clean, third kind of a clean type fire extinguisher. This is the, shall I say, a perfect type of or kind of clean fire extinguisher. Why? As I said, it leaves no corrosion or corrosive residue. And of course, it is safe or ideal for our electronic devices. Okay? So that's the third kind of clean fuel, the halotron. Okay. The history of halon, okay, it started or it was developed in 1950s, no? And then the maritime standardization by the year 1970s became the gold standard fire extinguishing agent on board ships. Why? Because of its high efficiency. Because of there being a compact storage requirements and they are non-conducive properties. Okay? So it was developed in 1950s and until 1970s became the gold standard fire extinguishing agent, the halon. Okay. So basically, the halon contains a bromine and chlorine atoms. Okay? And that's during 1987, it was mandated that it will be phased out. Okay? And then the IMO, International Maritime Organization, and the SOLAS, the Safety of Life at Sea mandates, okay, that banned new installations of halon last 1992. Okay? So they don't want it, no? The halon, fire extinguishers, the IMO and the SOLAS, no? And now, modern status, while the virgin halon production is banned, the existing recycled legacy banks are tightly controlled under now the Maritime Pollution Annex 6. Okay? That is under Maritime Environmental Codes. So that is the transition. Okay? First, it was the most, or it was or it became the gold standard fire extinguishing agent, okay, on board ships. But the Montreal Protocol, they banned it, the halon content. Okay? The IMO and the SOLAS also banned the installation of the halon. Okay? So, yes, there are advantages and disadvantages of using the halon. Alright, let's discuss. The advantages of this is that there's a rapid knockdown. Okay, it's non-conductive. And there's a zero residue. And it's space-saving. And isn't it, I mentioned that this is good for our electronic devices. So those are the advantages because it leaves zero residue. But the disadvantage of this is the severe ozone damage. That's the reason why the IMO and the SOLAS, okay, banned the halon because of the damage of the ozone layer. It's not environment friendly. And also, the toxic breakdown products of this is not safe. And the low cooling capacity is not good. Okay, and once in confined space, it's risky. Okay? Basically, not good for us and not good for the environment, but it's good for other electronic materials. Alright. So, since the IMO and the safety of life at sea, which is the safety is their main goal, they ban the halon material. Alright. So, this is an example of fire extinguisher maintenance and inspection. This is how they do this. Okay, maintenance. Okay, there will be a monthly inspection to this. Yes, because under the safety management systems and the maritime codes, there should be a routine visual checks of all the fire extinguishers every month. Okay? Now, the mounting of all the fire extinguishers and the expiry should be checked monthly as much as possible. And the physical condition, sometimes there are corrosions in the outer part of the fire extinguishers. So you have to check all of this. The third mate, calling all the third mates there, the third officers, you always have to check this one monthly. Okay, the physical aspects, okay, if it's accessible to everyone on board. Okay, so next, the pressure gauge, you have to check if it is working. So this is the example of Halon. It should reach to the green color, operative or operable range. Okay, it should reach here. This is the pressure gauge. Okay, once it reaches only here in the red color, it's not working anymore. Okay, or it's not functional. So always it should reach up to here, the green color. Okay, and overcharging also is not good. Okay, and take note that the carbon dioxide extinguished, okay, lack pressure gauges. Okay, so their charge now is verified not in the pressure gauge, but through their weight. Okay, weight of the cylinder, how heavy. So since the carbon dioxide type or the black color type of fire extinguisher has no gauge or has no pressure gauge, okay, they can only, or you can only check if it's working through the weight of the cylinder. Alright, next, so we have the safety pin, this one, the safety pin. So you have to make sure, okay, that this is not accidentally, no, discharge, no, this one. So you have to check this, the safety pin always. This must be securely fitted in place. Okay, the safety pin. Okay, we have the hose or the nozzle. This is the hose and this is the nozzle. You have to check the rubber hose if there are cracks on it, if they are dry or rotten. Okay, and then you inspect also the nozzle. If it is free of obstruction, like salt buildup, like dirt, or if there's insect nests here inside the nozzle, you have to check this always. Okay, this is very important for everyone's safety. Okay, so this is the hydrostatic pressure test, okay, station. Okay, so from time to time, you have to check your fire extinguishers through this hydrostatic test station. Alright? Next is, yes, it says here that spares, your extra fire extinguishers, ships must carry 100% spare charges for the first 10 extinguishers. Okay? For the first 10 extinguishers, you have to have 100% spare charges. Okay? And then the 50% for the remaining units that can be recharged on board. Okay. Remember that non-rechargeable units must be replaced upon reaching their manufacturer expiration date or after any partial discharge. So this is how you are going to check your fire extinguishers. Alright? Calling all third officers on board or trainees. This is one of your job on board to check the safety of the fire extinguishers if they are fully charged or it's near the manufacturer's expiration date. Always remember that, third officers. Okay. Okay, the SOLAS regulation. It says that Chapter 2-2 and MSC.1 Circular 1432, fire hoses must be pressure tested annually, yearly. Okay? At the maximum fire main pressure every 5 to 10 years. Always remember that. Fire hoses, you check the pressure annually at the maximum fire main pressure every 5 to 10 years. Okay? Okay. Emergency communication and some practical exercises. Okay, let's talk about emergency communication and practical exercises. Okay. One is the SMCP fire reporting procedures. SMCP, right? So, there should be a clear communication, radio communication. This is very important during emergency scenarios. Of course, to prevent panic of the crew and to make sure that the bridge receives the exact situational data while reporting. Okay? Clear communication to prevent panic and then to make sure that the bridge receives the exact situational data. Alright? Now, for the next procedure or emergency communication or practical exercises, next is the how we are going to remind that there is fire on board. First is you sound the alarm, right? And then report to the bridge right away via your VHF and your public announcement radio. And then you state the key information, what is going on, all the details. So that's the second step. Okay, now the third one is how you are going to report. So, pan, right? So, you mentioned your name or your rank, and then where is the fire, and then you repeat, okay, what's going on, and then you report everything. If there is someone is injured, someone is missing, and then mention your why, what is the purpose why you called for a pan. Okay, whether you need an immediate assistance, okay, or maybe you're informing that the crew is injured. Okay, so that's how you're going to report. And then the last one is the proper selection of all this. Alright? The proper selection. The CO2, you have the water, you have the wet chemical, the dry powder, and the AFFF, which is the clean fire type of extinguisher. So, by merely using a wrong medium on a marine fire can turn a localized incident into a ship-wide disaster. Okay? Like for example, you're spraying an electrical, okay, equipment or a burning oil. Okay? And then you use what? Water. It could aggravate the fire. So, the best type of fire extinguisher to use for electrical equipment is the dry powder. Right? And then for the burning oil, you use the wet chemical fire extinguisher. But you have to use first the fire blanket and then spray wet chemical to cool down the fire. Alright? So that's the fourth way. Now, example of case studies. So, for number 1, the gully fire. Yes, as you can see here, this one is the fire blanket. This is correct. This is the correct way. So, you use the fire blanket in the gully for this type of fire. There's a burning oil, there's a burning fat, there's a deep burning fat fryer here that catches fire. So you use fire blanket right away. And then spray wet chemical. Okay? So a team coordination with these 3, you have to close or shut down the valve right away. Okay? To cut off the oxygen supply. Okay? And then, by using this one, the fire blanket and the wet chemical, it can now smother the fire. Because there's no oxygen already present because you did shut off the valve. Okay? That's the case study number 1 for gully fire. This is how you are going to do during a gully fire. Again, shut down the valve, close everything, the switches, and then use the fire blanket and the wet chemical to smother the fire. Okay. So case study number 2. In the electrical fire, during electrical fire. Okay. The main switchboard catches fire. So it causes localized fire, and there's a smoke. So the duty of the engineers here is, of course, to switch off here. Switch off the main area. That's the main switchboard area. Okay. Now, for the electrical fire, you will use, excuse me, the carbon dioxide, the CO2, right? So, since this is caused by or electrical equipment, you can only use carbon dioxide, the black color. Alright? And then, you switch off the main switchboard area. Okay? You directly put on the nozzle to prevent further damage to other electrical equipment. Okay? Next is the third case study. Okay. The oil leakage. Okay. Imagine that there's a high pressure fuel pipes burst sprays here. So heavy, no? Heavy fuel on the floor, no? So it causes fire. So the first thing to do is you will use a foam type, the cream type of fire extinguisher, the foam type. Now, here, in this situation, you have to close again right away the valves outside the engine room. Okay? So that this foaming or this foam type of fire extinguisher is the only type used in this oil leak cause fire. Okay? Do not use other kind of fire extinguisher. Only the CO2 or the carbon dioxide. Switching off everything, closing all the valves outside the engine room can suffocate or can smother the fire already because of the absence of oxygen. Okay, and by using the foam type of fire extinguisher. Alright? So, I'm sure everyone already can differentiate, okay, the different types of fire extinguishers and the different classes of fire. So, let's go to our question and answer. So, question number 1, we are going to match each scenario here to the correct fire extinguisher. Okay? So, for number 1, let's say the example is, the question is this: sparks inside a radar, electronics, radar, display unit on the navigation bridge. So, the correct answer is the carbon dioxide extinguisher. Okay? You will use the carbon dioxide extinguisher because it's an electrical. Okay? Equipment, the radar. Next is okay. For the cardboard packing boxes. Okay, boxes. Catching fire in the deck. What type of fire extinguisher are you going to use? It's, of course, the water. Because of it. This one is class A type of fire because of the boxes made of paper. Right? And then, another scenario C, a cardboard packing boxes. Again, catching fire. So, you can also use a foam. Okay? And then, another Which dry chemical powder can be used on class A, B, and C fires? Okay, A, B, and C. So which type? It's, of course, the powder, the ABC powder. Okay, next. Which type of fire is a wet chemical? That is extinguished mainly designed for the wet chemical. So what type of fire? It is the cooking oil. Yes, wet chemical. Okay, you use the fire blanket first and then you extinguished wet chemical for cooking oil. Do not use it in the electrical fires. Okay? But you can use it in the paper fires, but not in gases. Okay? So actually the correct answer here is for B and C. Alright, so another. What happens when a wet chemical extinguisher is used on burning cooking oil? Oh, is it A, it spreads the fire? It creates a cooling foam layer? It increases the flames? Or if it improves oxygen completely? So what is the correct answer here for the wet chemical if it's extinguished in cooking oil? Yes, it creates a cooling foam layer. Alright? For the wet chemical. Okay, another. For which clean agent extinguisher is commonly used to protect electrical equipment? Is it A, B, C, or D? So, for clean agent extinguisher, what is used to protect electrical equipment? It's, yes, the FN200. Okay. So, next. So, what is the purpose of the safety pin on the fire extinguisher? Okay, is it A, B, C, or D? So what do you think is the purpose of the safety pin? Is it only a decoration? Is it to prevent accidental discharge? Is it to increase pressure or to cool the extinguisher? Alright, it's because it's mainly to prevent accidental discharge. Yes, that's why it's called safety pin. Okay? To prevent accidental discharge. Alright, next. So that's letter B. Okay? Alright, how many years can a fire extinguisher be tested? Is it A, B, C, or D? So how many years do you think? Okay, I mentioned that earlier. It's A. It's 5 to 10 years. Right? And it is monthly inspected. Okay? Next is for number 7. Which is proper emergency team, or why is proper emergency team coordination important during a shipboard fire? Oh, okay. Is it A, to finish the work faster? B, is it to reduce confusion and improve safety? C, to avoid using extinguishers? And D, to build relationship with each other. So what do you think is the proper Emergency team important in coordinating with each other during a shipboard fire. Yes, to reduce confusion and improve your safety. Okay? So, oh, yes, we're done with our lesson for today. All about fire, a review about fire, a review about a little of fire extinguishers that was discussed last Monday. Okay. Thank you everyone for your time, for your energy, and for your active participation for today's lesson. And a special thank you to all the officers and the trainees present, really. Taking time out of your busy schedules just to sharpen your communication skills shows true commitment, no, to your profession and to the safety, to your safety at sea, no. So basically, clear communication is one of the most powerful tools everyone can carry on board, really. And your effort for today proves how dedicated you are to excellence, no? And thank you to the Gimyang Shipping Seafarers Union for putting up like this type of lesson for the safety, additional knowledge, no, of the crew on board. And well, I can only say that you just keep on practicing. You can keep on supporting each other on board and carry these lessons we discussed with you and on your next and your next watch. And thank you, and well done to everyone, and smooth sailing ahead. And thank you for participating. I'm again your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly, and hope to see you all again next week for our another topic, because we're done with our fire topic lessons. Okay, so I'll see you all, everyone, next week. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe and smooth sailing ahead.